I'm telling them that I can't breathe. Clearly he don't give a damn about my plea. His ancestors used to hang us on trees. Today they identify as road police. You see I'm black, for that I'm a threat to America. My rise is their fall and their fall is evident. Blood on your hands is heavier than an elephant. Open up America's closet and see skeletons.
Welcome family, I'm Latonia and this is Reunite Sandy Speaks. Welcome to my channel. It's been a minute. Thanks for returning. If you're returning, and if you're new, thank you for joining. I would greatly appreciate if you guys would subscribe. I really need subscribers. I have long-term plans. You guys know that. So I would greatly appreciate it, honestly, if you would subscribe to the channel. And I hear YouTubers talk about hitting the bell. If that's down there, do that. I think that tells you when I make a video. And I plan to do it more regularly, but because I'm so intimate, it would serve you if you would just click the bell so you are notified when I'm making videos. And what else? And comment. I want you guys to comment. And so comment whatever you want to comment. Like if you feel you think something, please feel free to comment. But what I'm really looking for is partnerships. I'm looking for partners to help me achieve my goals. So if you have any feedback, and I'm okay with criticism, what do you call it? You guys, I get delayed sometimes, I'm forgetful. Constructive criticism. I'm very much open to that. I'm no personal attacks, if you can keep the personal attacks down to a minimum. I do encourage you to speak your mind, whatever you feel. Like, I like honest feedback, but keep the some of the personal. Okay, so if you would please subscribe to my channel, like all my videos. I feel so aggressive saying that, but if you would, it would help my goals and objective, and that is to liberate Black people and make this country great for real. Please leave a comment if you have any feedback, any information about the things, the topics that I talk about. Please share, because again, I want it to be a community effort. And so today we're going to talk about two farmers, the two Black farmers in El Paso County, Colorado Springs, Colorado. So two farmers, a husband and wife, Mallery, the Mallerys, Nicole and Courtney Mallery. I think they moved to Colorado to rebuild their life. They lost everything in a hurricane, I believe, if I'm saying this properly. I think it was some type of natural disaster where they lost everything, and I believe it to be a hurricane. They ended up going to Colorado Springs, a predominantly white area in the middle of America. I guess it's called the northwest port of the country. And they have been experiencing a lot of aggression, some things with the police officers. I think the main issues, they've had some issues with their neighbors. So these two farmers, Courtney and Nicole Mallery, two Black farmers, are being terrorized by their neighbors and white citizens in the state or in the city. Anyway, let me go ahead and put the video clip in and give you a better idea, because I'm doing what I do often, ramble. So to give you guys some context, I'll put this video in.
Two Black ranchers in rural El Paso County say their cries for help and allegations of racism have been largely ignored by the sheriff's office for years.
And you've likely heard some of the Mallery story, which has been shared thousands of times on social media now. Those viral posts have led to national scrutiny over how the El Paso County Sheriff's Office has handled more than 2 years of disputes between the couple and their neighbors. Now they're speaking exclusively to Denver 7 on camera together for the first time.
And Denver 7's Micah Smith has tonight's exclusive that now has El Paso County deputies defending their actions.
Farming while Black in America. Farming while Black in America.
The voice you hear is Nicole Mallery's, and the person being arrested is her husband, Courtney C.W. Mallery. The Mallerys are black ranchers in rural El Paso County and say this moment is the culmination of years of blatant racism by community members and the El Paso neighbors' security cameras against him. But his cameras were removed. I asked him why he'd walk by their neighbor's home with hands in the air.
My cows were loose, so we went down there, got our cows, and we pushed them back the way they came out. And as I said, we need to put our hands up and say, please don't shoot us. We're just getting our cows. Please don't shoot. We're just getting our cows.
Let's be clear. I just want to revisit that. Me putting my hands up, us putting our hands up, and is a safety. As an African American,
It's been said a lot that this is a land dispute between neighbors. That's what it boils down to. And that you all or your neighbor could choose to avoid each other because you have so much land. What is your response to that?
let me be clear about something. I do not have a neighbor dispute. My dispute is with El Paso County Sheriff's Department for enabling this behavior.
Nicole says one deputy in particular, who she's filed multiple complaints against, is leading the charge.
In what I believe is a modern day KKK assault against my family.
That's not a small accusation to make. But Nicole says Facebook comments and a community page turned to blatant racism after the sheriff's office got involved. Comments like, "I was amazed at how much property was tagged Black Lives Matter. Didn't expect that kind of in-your-face crap way out here. Let's all go have car issues on that road. And are there any restrictions on size of pitchforks and fire sticks in Colorado?" From there, Nicole says it turned to physical attacks.
Animals being gutted, our lives being threatened, people being sent to our home under threat of lynching, hanging, pitchforks. We had a chicken coop set ablaze.
I asked the Mallerys what the sheriff's office did in response.
Nothing. Actually, I think maybe what happened was they were trying to figure out how to charge us with a crime.
Since the time of Mr. Mallery's arrest, my office has received numerous emails and calls with people voicing concern with how we have handled the Mallery situation.
On Tuesday afternoon, Sheriff Joseph Roybal finally answered questions about the case that's gone viral on social media and shared body camera video painting the Mallerys as combative and unwilling to cooperate in unrelated investigations. But the sheriff's office provided few details about the Mallerys' current claims of harassment and racial discrimination. The one concrete update was the decision by the sheriff to review 24 prior cases. In the end, they reopened 2, one of which involves the Mallerys as the victims. And the sheriff said he more than
We'll bring you an in-depth update tomorrow on Denver 7.
And this story is so important because the number of black farmers across America has declined greatly over the past century. Let's break down the numbers for you. Researchers at UMass Boston looked at data from the USDA Census of Agriculture. They found that black farmers lost $326 billion worth of acreage in the 20th century. Currently, black farmers own less than 1% of all farmland. Colorado was home to a historically black farming settlement in the early 1900s. Deerfield in Weld County is now a ghost town, but it was once a place to end the cycle of poverty.
They knew that if they could own their own land, own their own homes, they could use that to pass on to their children. They could sell it. They could borrow against it.
Discriminatory lending policies and forced sales are said to be major factors in the loss of land.
Courtney and Nicole Mallery are being harassed and terrorized in their city, in their community. And I don't know if I said this already, but if I did, I'm going to say it again. Courtney and Nicole Mallery bought property, this land in Colorado Springs, El Paso County, to rebuild their lives. That they lost everything in a hurricane or some sort of natural disaster. I believe possibly in Texas. I might be mistaken, okay? So they moved to this city and they're being harassed. If you are on social media, you probably have seen stuff on Twitter and on Instagram. They have I think it's called Geronimo Pratt Gun Club, is their security. They have a GoFundMe. I think last time I looked, they raised over $200,000 for legal fees and for security. You see what happened. They had issues with the animals. And so let me get down to the brass tacks of my concerns here. So again, Reunite Sandy speaks to document the inequalities in this country and how Black people are treated. I'm going to say this, and I may have said it before, and I really sincerely mean this. If you don't like Black people, it's not my position to say that you need to like Black people. It's this thing about we are fighting racism, but I think we need to really define on what we are fighting and what we're combating. My issue is when civil rights are being violated. We have issues with discrimination in private sectors and business, companies, whatever. That's illegal, but what I think is more detrimental is when the governmental agencies are guilty of discrimination, harming Black people. And so, from what I'm to understand, is that they were having issues on their property. They suspected their neighbors or whomever, so they had video camera trying to catch them. That each time they would file complaints that the local sheriff's department, Gerhard, I'm not gonna say his name right, Gerhard, Emery Gerhard, I think he has a nickname, Emery Gerhard, the sheriff of that county, that when they would file complaints, there wouldn't be anything done. But when the opposing white people file complaints is when action was taken. And so again, this series is Reunite Sandy Speaks. We are documenting that there are two Americas. And see, according to the 14th Amendment, there shouldn't be two Americas. There should be one. But Black people are not equal, and when dealing with Black people, governmental agencies are not held to the same standard. So those are the things I want to talk about. If you feel like I'm rambling, I apologize. I took notes and on my computer and I didn't save them. So I prefer to have been more organized, but I think it's important that I discuss this because this is one of the most important cases I think that we're going to be discussing, because these people are trying to rebuild their lives. And, COVID, to be honest, everyone's suffering. We have inflation. I think unemployment's up. We're trying to rebound from COVID. So as a country as a whole, we're struggling. And so it is infuriating to me as a Black person that it always has to be more complicated for us. That in 2023, we should be able to have liberty and happiness just like everyone else. When we are being discriminated against by governmental agencies, I think we really need to highlight those things and hold those people accountable. So what do I want to say about certain things I want to say about this? Okay, you guys, I'm getting my thoughts together. And just specific things that I want to follow on these cases. And I'm kind of new with this. I'm not an investigative reporter, but I think I'm going to have to develop some investigative skills if we're going to be documenting these things, because there are specific things I think that we're going to have to cover. I think one of the reasons why we're still in these, again, my long-term goal is for this to stop, okay? And what's going to aid in minimizing these occurrences is legal action, legislation. Documenting is, and not only creating legislation, ensuring that the legislation is being abided by, okay? Often Black people say this country's not built for us, that they didn't build this system for us, and that might be the case. But the fact is we're Americans, and in order for us to do things as a democracy, we have to participate. And so, I'm going to say this, I'm really bewildered that we still live like this, that these things are happening to us, that they're killing us, they're shooting Black men in the back of the head, and they're harassing us, and people being sent to prison for things they didn't do. Farmers who are trying to rebuild their lives are being harassed by sheriff's deputies and local law enforcement. I understand bias, right? It's going to be biased anywhere, everywhere. That sometimes things, are done because of egos, unfortunately. But these things are happening aggressively to black people. I don't know if it's more happening or we documenting it more. But the fact is, we shouldn't have to live like this. Okay, I want us to live harmony and happiness. So, okay, me and my tangent. I took some notes because there's some things I want to highlight. I want to highlight the fact that, again, that the sheriff wife is a judge, and I think that's important. I don't know like where to go from here with that because I'm not an attorney, but I think that it influences how business is conducted in terms of the sheriff and the judicial branch in government. That's what happened with Ahmaud Arbery. They tried to bury it because there were people who had ties to law enforcement, and so in this country, it's supposed to be checks and balances. We have to see when it's instances of improprieties happening. It really concerns me that he is the local sheriff and that she is a judge. I would think that there should be some law against that. If he's arresting people or whatever, not even just him, his department that he works for, if they're arresting people and these people are being seen in the court where she is a judge, I think that there is a big conflict of interest there. And I think that if we see things that are questionable, that we need to question them. So it concerns me that the sheriff's wife is a judge. Okay, it's some questions I want answered. I want answered. And so so again, what happened was, they're having disputes. When they file complaints with the sheriff department, it's their position that they're not being acknowledged. Then they got arrested. My understanding, they got arrested for stalking. When the sheriffs investigated the claims, they saw the cameras, and the cameras were pointed at the neighbors, and that became a stalking charge. Now, family, does that make sense to you? And this is the thing, that because I'm in different spaces and I have different conversations with people. And here's the thing. Often we think this is the law, okay? So if this is the law, they can do it. This is the procedure, they can do it. Family, I need you to understand that America is democracy. If things are set in a way that's questionable, that leads to abuse of authority or discrimination or civil rights violations, and it's like one occurrence, things slip through the cracks, mistakes happen. But when we see this stuff is heavily happening in a specific area, those are the things that we have to evaluate. And specifically, we are documenting black people who are being abused in this country to have legislation federally in place to protect us. So I don't personally think, this is just my feeling, and maybe, I don't know, I'm hesitant to say this publicly on my video, but I'm going to say this publicly on my video because it's really my belief. I don't think that they're in physical danger. I don't think they're in danger for someone to harm them or take their life. Again, they had a GoFundMe. I think the Geronimo Pratt Gun Club is protecting them. And I'm not insinuating that they don't need protection or they should stop this protection. They've had animals harmed, and according to them, that they are being harassed and they feel uncomfortable. I'm just saying that I don't think that someone will harm them. I think they're just being harassed because they're black. I think it's a matter of, this black person has this and we don't think y'all should have it. I think this is really about trying to harm us economically. That it is many people's intention to keep us secondary. That they have fear of losing their power and they want to keep their foot on our neck, and it's a collective thing. It's a WSCC. You heard me say it before. And I believe these are the things that we have to combat. So there are questions that I have questions about this case, and I'm going to look to, maybe we'll review it. I want to know what was the probable cause that led to Courtney and Nicole being arrested. Okay, so family, let's talk about what's actually happening. They had a fight or disagreement with their neighbors. They filed complaints that appeared to be unanswered. Animals have been killed. Livestock have been stolen. I believe they have been having some bad, questionable things happening to them. Right? What is happening with the investigation? It's the office. It's law enforcement investigating their complaints in the same manner as they are investigating when a white person complains about them. Because one of the things that I really want to know, and I want to figure out how to get this information, and you guys know how to do it, y'all can help me. I want to know what was the probable cause. What was the probable cause that the district attorney felt like it was worth pursuing? Because I think this is what I believe. I believe that they might be disputing with their neighbors, okay? In the clip she said, my problem is not with the neighbors. My problem is with the sheriff's department. Because you're going to have issues with your neighbors. That's just society, okay? So that's why we have civil service in place, to keep order. So if these law enforcement are treating black people unfairly on the basis of being black, they shouldn't be in law enforcement. These are the things that we're trying to stop. So what was the probable cause? If you're law enforcement and you're a district attorney, it's like, okay, these people are brawling. Neighbors are having dispute. Do we add fuel to the flame by charging these two people with these charges of stalking when we know that the cameras were for their protection? This is what I'm saying. These are the things that I want to talk about on this channel, is because what I see progressively, things are getting worse. In Florida, it's like no critical race theory. They're trying to ban books about black people and our history. Family, to me, that's crazy. To me, that is alarming and that's crazy. We are on attack. And so, I think we need to really be very serious about this attack that's happening to us, and put efforts in as collectively to stop this attack. So again, let's talk about this. What was the evidence or probable cause? Is the cameras facing them? If they have cameras facing their neighbors, and then you're going to claim stalking, when a reasonable person is going to believe that the cameras was to see who's harming them. Because they have had previous disputes with their neighbors, they have reason to believe that it's the neighbors who's harming their property. So do you arrest them? Do you use tax dollars to arrest them and have a trial and prosecute them, when what we're seeing is really neighbors might having some dispute? Even if you want to say it's about them being black and them not being treated fairly in his community, and they're harassing them and they're creating havoc for them to try to bully them and run them out. Is that what's happening? And so, family, these are reasonable discussions that I'm having, and these are reasonable discussions that I don't see on these channels. What I see is people, they're telling a story. Like it's a channel, Undisputed. He goes into depth. Like you could tell his name is, I forgot his name, Rashad or something. It's undisputable or indisputable. His content is to cover the inequalities that are happening to black people. And you could tell by how passionate he is in these instances that he really cares, that he really wants to make a difference. So he's doing these documentations to highlight it. As a community, we shine a light on when things are not right, to correct them, right? And so we see that across the board on social media, different channels, different Instagrams. Like D.L. Hughley's always posting stuff about discrimination and clips of like discrimination. Yes, we want to shine a light on it, but we don't want to. What my fear is what's happening is causing more mental anguish to Black people, is making us less effective in navigating in this country, because we're having emotional and mental repercussions of seeing ourselves being attacked in this country, right? So are we showing this on social media to sensationalize it, or is it to correct it? So my channel is to document it and to have real, reasonable discussions, because these, like, you guys, I get annoyed because I'm a critical thinker. And for me, it's like, how can a governor say we're going to ban these books? Like that, I mean, the reality, that is not even debatable. That's not even something that should be up to debate. And the fact that they're debating that issue tells you how detrimental it is that we as a people are aware of what's happening, because they're really trying to harm us. Okay? They're really like collectively trying to bring us harm. And we can't continue to sleep on it. With these Black men who are being murdered and harassed and locked up, and just all the different things that we see, family, we don't have to live like this. And so I want to shine a light on these instances, and we discuss it as intelligent, reasonable people. One of the things in the court of law, what they evaluate is, what would a reasonable person think and believe? Is it reasonable to think that you can take books out of schools about our history? Like, to say that, to fix your mouth to say something, is insulting. And again, it's alarming. So I want to have conversations where we evaluate the state of mind. So if we feel this way, what is motivating you? What is propelling you to these things to happen to us? Is it really innocent? Is it that we're being harmed inadvertently? That these people are just really trying to do what's best for themselves? They're not trying to harm Black people? Or is this Black people being harmed? Going back to the Mallerys, we have to evaluate what's happening with them. And I said because I've said in other spaces, I don't think they're at risk of being harmed. And see, when I say that, inside I even like, oh, did you say that out loud? Because they do. They kill us. They shoot us. They kill us. They kill us. They will kill us. They will maim us. They will hurt us. And part of me doesn't feel comfortable saying I don't think they're in harm of their life. And I'm saying that because part of me really believes that they're not in harm. They're not at risk of being harmed physically. This is harassment. This is them being terrorized. This is like when slaves were whipped, or when the Tulsa attack, like all the attack, the Baltimore Buffalo attack. Like, it's these forces that are intentionally trying to harm Black people. And so even in my delivery, it's clear that I'm uncomfortable, that I'm shaken by it. Okay? And family, what I know is that we shouldn't feel this way. What I know is a husband and a wife who lost everything in a natural disaster. They move to an area, they become farmers. Not just any kind of industry. This is farming to feed us what we need. And they're being harassed. We have to examine the governmental agencies and how they're handling things when it comes to Black people. I'm on my tangent. I want to make sure I handle everything with that. This is going to be an introductory about the farmers, but we'll go back. I'll touch on this. I'll do some videos in the future where I'm going to be doing some updates. So I just wanted to talk about this, just to introduce it and talk about some things that I want answers to, and we'll come back to this. So again, Nicole and Courtney Mallery are being harassed. They are now facing charges that I think are questionable and things that we need to examine. We need to examine the probable cause, because when things happen to black people, the district attorney's like, oh, we can't take that to court. That's not gonna fly. Like, how they prove it? Okay, so I really want to know, what is the probable cause that the judge and the district attorney felt that it was necessary to file charges against these people. I apologize for not being prepared this time. I will be next time. We're going to know the name of the sheriff. His name is Gerhardt. When I revisit this subject, we're going to talk about the sheriff, his wife, find out what is the actual probable cause that led to the arrest, and other legal aspects of this. You guys, please help me. If we have any lawyers or law students, please get involved. Please follow me, because it's my intention to go to law school. I believe that there's not enough black attorneys in this country. And I think that those are some of the factors that influence these things to happen to us and us not getting justice. So I think I feel like I'm forgetting something. I'm not saying anything. I'm gonna stop there. This just was an introductory about Courtney and Nicole Mallery. I will do a follow-up video. If you have any information about it, please share it. I know more information about the sheriff. I don't want to talk about it now. The sheriff actually sued the previous sheriff previously. Okay, so there is a history of corruption in the law enforcement in this county. I'm not prepared. Forgive me for not being more prepared. This is an introduction. I will do some due diligence this coming week to find out. I ask questions, you guys. To be honest, I don't know the answers, and I don't know how to find the answers. I'm juggling a lot of my own stuff. I've got some legal issues myself. So I'm juggling a lot of stuff, and I just don't know. If you guys know these answers to these questions, please comment and help out. I'm really optimistic about my goals and objectives here. I think that I'm going to really be able to make real change for black people because I'm dedicated. I may not be overnight, but I'm sincere. I do know that there are other black people out here that are exhausted and tired, and they believe that they really want change. You know, I follow a lot of people on Twitter, and so many different accounts on there. Like, I engage with one girl. I want to change the world. I want to change the world. Like, humanitarians, people who care about their community. So I really believe that I'm going to be able to make change. I just need help. And I'm looking for your help. Anyway, you guys, listen. On the 20th. This is Reunite Sandy Speaks. Y'all come fuck with me.
They killing us for killing us for jogging. Kill us in our homes and fabricating and hiding. Where we had Sandra Bland's and Trayvon Martin's. If when you kill us, your family was a target. If your children was orphans, will you have compassion the next time you approach us? Yeah, we fed up. This is built up. Your city up in smoke, homeboy, we had enough. And I ain't Tyson, riots of violence heighten the climate. I'm saying you smack me, I'm punching you in your iris. Retaliation is prescribed in both Bible and Quran. In the matters of the slang, see an eye for an eye, especially if the Justice Department do not comply.